shit, that's terrible.
See, y'all know my mind is a wonderland. Don't ask me for suggestions, but please go back, watch, and we must hit this goal, okay? And for the love of all things holy, in this upcoming week, I know this account is about to be just 2 weeks old. Please get me to 1,000 so I can go live, so I can invite her over. Because I promise you, if she cosplays Marjorie Taylor Greene, I promise y'all I will give y'all my best Candace Owens if this goal is met. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me here for Conversations with Taz for Talk About It Tuesdays. And that lovely lady in the video with me is our special guest for tonight. And make sure you click the link in my bio. The GoFundMe link is there, and we need to make this goal. And y'all are really working overtime to get me to 1,000. But it's okay. I've been practicing my Candace Owens, and I even found my contacts to make it real authentic. But for those of you all that may not be familiar with Pam and may not know her, and love her the way that I do, here's some videos to give you a brief introduction.
That's a lie. That's a flat out lie, and that is your plausible deniability to throw down should you get called out on your bullshit for saying that you are owed an explanation, because it's up to the police and law enforcement to tell you if there's a real threat, not her. And there are thousands of videos out there talking about how it was a hoax and how she was doing this and doing that and doing it for attention, even saying that she spent all that time with her boyfriend putting a target on his back. And people are saying that she needs to be made an example of to prevent people from doing these kinds of hoaxes to get attention. If anybody's going to go to those links to get attention, making an example of an innocent person isn't going to prevent them from doing that. Just like the death penalty has never prevented anybody from committing murder. Making examples of people has never worked, not once.
Where are you going?
It is, however, an excuse for us to extract our pound of flesh, because she had the nerve to turn up alive and prevent us from turning her into entertainment via podcasts and true crime shows. And if you don't trust law enforcement and the police to inform you if there is an actual threat out there the same way I don't, maybe you proceed as if there is, just like you would if she had confirmed it for you. Her confirmation means nothing to how you proceed. That's a lie. You go have a day. Oh, I feel this. I really do. My mom's a huge DeSantis supporter. I mean, to the point where when I went and visited her before Christmas, she had this photo sitting on her end table by her couch that she just kept looking at and going, oh, it looks like my family. That looks like my little Pammy. That would be me. And, reflecting herself in their family portrait. And I didn't know who it was at the time. I said, who is that? And she said, oh, the DeSantis family. All three of my kids are LGBTQIA+, and it took everything in me to not just go, he wants your grandchildren to disappear, and get angry. But that wouldn't have done anybody any good. So we had a talk, and there were some little nuggets of information left with her to, digest later, when she didn't feel like it was forcing her to change course, which would, of course, caused her to dig in. I say all of these things, and on top of that, you should know I went no contact with my mom off and on through my kids' lives, because she was actually truly toxic and destructive in their lives. But what does this change? What does this do to protect other people from the racism and phobias and all of those things that your mom is likely to display and act on in public? I go back to the case of Ralph Yarls and how the man who shot him, his grandson, said, yeah, we knew. Well, why wasn't anybody doing anything? Because I may never change my mom's political stances. I won't. She's 86 years old. It's not going to happen. But I have given her perspectives that let her know how she interacts with the world around her and the damage that causes. which is something she doesn't want to do. She's not inherently a sadistic person. So that's changed her behavior. And I'm not making myself out to be some saint, because we have had knockdown dragouts. I have not talked to her for a long period of time. Matter of fact, she called me this morning and I dodged her call and have been for a few weeks, and I shouldn't do that. I have to wait till I'm in the right headspace to control the interaction, but I shouldn't avoid it indefinitely. But anyway, my question is what does this progress? Anyway, just my thoughts. Y'all go have a day.
And without further ado,
hello. It's still weird to hear myself hyped up.
So tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Okay, how do we? There's an intro I used to use. It needs to be updated a little bit, but I'm a recovering '80s punk that got into the punk scene as a form of rebellion to my parents, as a finger in the eye of the affluent, politically connected white world that I grew up in. Right, and very quickly that became more social justice, because I tended to want things to be more than an aesthetic. And at one point, one of the people I met dressed me down. He was a Black Panther, and he absolutely dressed me down one day and told me, he said, "Are you doing this because you want to change anything, or just to piss your parents off?" And very quickly, the mohawk grew out, the safety pin came out of the cheek, and we got really serious about things. And we got involved in, politics. I've been working in politics since Ann Richards' first campaign, and we got very active in social justice and women's rights. And I founded my first pro-choice group in Waco in 1988. Which is kind of interesting, because the same thing that white women do now. Well, we have the right to abortion, so why do we need a group for choice? And it's like, because it's not going to last. We knew then. We knew in '88 it wasn't going to last, right? And just through the years, it's progressed. It's ebbed and flowed. As my kids were young, you step back a little bit. You've got other things to do and basically shape future minds. There's 3 of me now, not of me, but 3 people that are better human beings than I'll be, that will take, the banner forward. And now that they're grown, I'm back in it full force. So, and I don't talk a lot on social media, on TikTok specifically, about the stuff I do outside, but I lead a couple of women's discussion groups on race here in Tyler, where I live. And lead is a bit of a misnomer there. Keep the rails on. And I do also work with the Democratic Party here, and I do a lot of things with mutual aid groups and other things here, like replacing this woman's roof last spring. I'm old. There's things I used to be able to do, and now I do, and I'm like, oh.
We're not old, Pam. We're not old. Stop saying that. We might a little bit, but we're not old.
Right? Exactly. I'll be 58 on Friday.
We snap, crackle, and pop, but as a 90s R&B says, that makes us prime, because we supposed to do that. We supposed to stop, drop, and lock it. Okay.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that. There you go.
See, I have to hold on to something, because we got children that like to troll us. So I got to have the comebacks.
And this fundraiser and all of this, and people are like, do dance trends, right? For milestones, like every 1,000. And I'm like, y'all know how hard that is for somebody who danced professionally. And I don't mean just when I was a stripper. I mean, I danced ballet and jazz professionally.
Wait a minute. We're not going to skate past what you just said. Like, you didn't just say it. You was a stripper.
I was a stripper from when I was 28 until 31.
Wait a damn minute.
Hey, you do what you got to do when you need to put money in the bank.
was, because I always wanted to like just have that one moment of like going out on the stage and like shaking what my mama gave me. But what my mama gave me didn't like really settle in until I was 40. Like I woke up literally on my 40th birthday, and just to tell y'all how inappropriate I am with my friends, I FaceTime a good friend of mine, booty butthole naked, out the shower. I got boobs. And she was like, girl, I'm at work.
I got mine with menopause. I was flat chested. I'm 5'11". Okay, so tall, thin, built like a boy, straight up and down. And then menopause hit. I still ain't got no butt. That's not fair. But I got boobs out of the blue, and I'm like, you know what? I cried for these all my life and wanted them, and now you give them to me. I don't want them. Take them back.
Is we lived through the I must. Like, it didn't work. They lied to us. Y'all speaking about Disney disappointing us. We're disappointed in that. Things we rubbed on our bodies because y'all told us it was gonna work.
But being a stripper was one of the best and worst jobs I had. It's definitely empowering. It is definitely empowering.
Well, see, I have another friend who was a stripper for a short period of time, and I have a friend that does like competitive pole dancing, and she keeps telling me like, "Oh, you should compete, girl. I'm good on the pole when nobody is watching."
Yeah,
and sensual about it because about like the gymnastics aspect. There's nothing. I was like, ain't nobody about to tip me for this.
And funny because only one of the clubs I danced at had a pole, and of course it didn't have the shield around it that spins. It didn't have any of that. It was just a brass pole, and you learn to get pretty good at it. But I couldn't do it now the way they do it. It is a wholly different business than it was.
And here's the thing. My cousin might kill me, but it's all over her Facebook page, so I think it's okay for me to say it. Now, for like 15 years now, has been a den mother at different establishments.
Yeah, I would love to be a house mom. That would be like my dream job.
And she loves it. And I mean, she is built to be a house mom. Like she really is. Out of all the jobs she has, this is, you know how like you see somebody in a career and you're like, this is made for them. This is her. Like, oh, you got to come check out this dancer. Now, when she says that, I know that this dancer is about to do something that's going to defy gravity. Okay.
Yeah.
And I went in and saw this woman do the Chinese splits on the pole and rotate on a rotating pole. Like she was out rotating the pole and then like flip her body and still spin around the pole. I said, you know what? This is making me feel old as shit. I feel like one of the Golden Girls, so I'm gonna just leave. Even though I'm in the age bracket of what the Golden Girls' ages really were.
Yeah.
I was like,
What cracks me up is like driving back from Lufkin. We have Sirius radio in the car. It was free when we got the car. And Lithium is one of the channels. It's all 90s rock, right? And Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, all that stuff. I was listening to that. And because that was the time frame I was a stripper and I wore leather and I had hair down past my butt and I have a lot of hair. Every one of those songs was like, yeah, I used to make a lot of money that song. Yeah, I used to make a lot of money that song. Yeah, those dumbasses didn't understand what that song was about. Still paid me a lot of money to dance to it.
let me put this up here because I knew my cousin was going to do this. Okay. Because as I was trying to give you updates, he got in his feelings. So there we go. Pam, my cousin, don't love me no more because I didn't answer his FaceTime call on the first try. So he said he was going to snitch because he said, and I quote, because I said, you trying to get me beat up? He said, by Pam. Yep.
No.
You cousin.
I might be I can fight. I can still fight. It's happened a couple of times. Like when my daughter's roommate moved out and her mom showed up decided to try to start some shit. And we didn't actually get into it, but it was just one of those step up things. But I'm that person that jumps back without thinking. And then it dawns on me, you're 58 years old. What are you doing? Because you're going to break a hip.
Yeah, my legs already aren't that good. I'm going to just hit you with my cane. That's what I'm going to do. You're going to catch this metal. This is what me and Quad were talking about. Like, you just going to catch this cane. No.
No. And this fight fair.
But I will lay on the ground and give y'all a Whoopi Goldberg in The Color Purple level performance. Okay? You understand me? When this leg goes out, I'm going to be my neck and my back. Oh my God. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to be the women of Brewster's Place all day long. You understand? I'm going to be Oprah in Beloved. I'm going to be Angela Bassett in Wakanda forever. I'm going to sell it. You understand? I'm going to sell it so good that the Karen is going to run away. And because now with my chart, my medical records are on my phone, I'm going to be like, I'm already crippled. Look what they did.
Yeah, and see, for me, it's just real easy.
That's looking to rescue a puppy or be the white savior, she gonna have my back. She gonna ask.
Oh, sure.
She gonna ask for everybody's manager. And speaking, because you and I talked about this the other day, the whole white savior thing. Now we know that there's a lot of that. People are in their feelings because there wasn't a white savior regarding Carly Russell.
Absolutely, that's it. And there isn't future entertainment now, right? And this was making it really shallow, but it is that shallow because we do it to white women too that get found, right? When Elizabeth Smart was found, this little girl, and they were talking about her father did it, her uncle did it, and they were hiding her on that mountain and all of this shit. When women that are victims of crimes don't die, we shit our pants because now what are we going to do? It's over. And we were finding some identity by amplifying this and, championing that. It was easy. It's very easy. Somebody else makes a video, you repost. All of it's easy to be involved in. And then when they're found safely, it's free fall. And it's so much worse when it's Black women. It is so much worse.
Because Elizabeth Smart got invited on the morning talk show circuit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even a morning talk show type of person. To me, they're a bit cheesy and they get on my nerves. I just like my news.
She played harp.
Yeah, I don't like all of this people flirting over a cooking segment.
I hate it. I hate the morning shows now.
And then when they're like, we have a deal for you. I don't know about y'all, but I'm not paying $100 for an umbrella, and that does not seem like a deal to me.
No.
But Elizabeth, there were books, there were movies, there were all these things. Like she was in a tent in the driveway.
Yeah. So even though there is a large swath that is tearing her, was tearing her down and saying that all this stuff, she was pregnant, her parents stealed her away, her dad got her pregnant, all this stuff. The surface still is beautiful, right? And it has all this opportunity, and it's placid, and it's just those people over there they're being ugly. But when it's a Black woman, it's all ugly. And we see it time and time and time again. I cannot remember the boy's name that was taken, I want to say in Louisiana, by a white mom and her son, and then turned up in a ditch. And they said he drowned in 3 inches of water. And they made all these stories about him. It's over and over. There's the boy who I highlighted his story. And again, I'm bad with names, so it's gone from my head, where he went to a graduation party at a known racist house and ended up dead in the attic. And they said he killed himself in somebody else's attic. You think that ever really, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. And he was starting college. He was starting college in the fall. So it's so much worse when it's Black people, because there's not even the facade or the few people that are just like, oh, praise God, prayers answered, right? There, it's just all ugly.
And just to give y'all some clarification, because I'm uniquely okay, let me keep a straight face. As the white true crime podcasters and TikTokers saying, I'm uniquely qualified to speak on this. As a suicide survivor and the mother of a suicide survivor.
Me too. All three of my kids.
Somebody else's house to do this. And
No.
I'm close friends with someone since high school whose mother committed suicide. Well, it was ruled suicide. If y'all want those stories today, I do have complete permission to share it, because she keeps trying to get the police to investigate it to this day. We're not doing it at your house.
No.
We're not doing it in front of you. And we're doing it in a way, because of our culture, regardless of where intersectionally we fit, we still want you to have the ability to have an open casket. Some of you all know this story, some of you don't. My oldest daughter jumped off of a highway overpass.
Oh, wow.
She's fine now. She's able to walk. We got her, back to where I shouldn't say we. I have to stop doing that. It was me. I have a bad habit of
sharing your credit
to other people, and my therapist told me not to do that, so I'm working on it. Y'all bear with me.
I need to do the same.
So we're getting there. But there's something else that Pam and I have in common that I don't think y'all know. We're both adoptees.
Yep.
Now, my experience, we have some similarities and we have some differences. Do you mind if we speak on this?
No, go for it. Go for it.
And if you don't mind sharing your experience, because they watch me all the time and they know, but if you could share your experience, because I say all the time that there's similarities, because I know media, politicians, always says that we're so separate, but I know that we aren't.
No, I was adopted in 1965 before the birth control pill was widely available or available to all women. And my mom will tell you to this day, if they had tried to adopt me after the pill was available, they wouldn't have been able to afford me, which is a totally neutral statement to her when she says it. She doesn't understand how it lands to a kid, right? Because my parents did not push the gratitude thing. Never, not once did they say we're not your real parents. Not once did they say I should be grateful that I was adopted by them. Not once, but that message still gets in.
Mm-hmm.
And I am so tired of Disney making a fortune off the orphan. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. Disney movies traumatized me horribly as a kid. My parents did a very good job for the knowledge they had in 1965. They were very open about it. It was never a secret. It was never a stumbling block in conversation if it ever came up. It was all very organic, and they did a very, very good job. As good a job as they did, when I turned about 11, 12, 13, and developed my own opinions about the world around me, they had no clue what to do. Because I am so foreign to them. And I have an older brother that's their biological child, and he's just like them. Work a day, go to school, go get your degree, go grind away, build a career, save your money, buy $1 million house, buy a multi-million-dollar yacht, rinse, repeat. And, he's miserable, right? Alone and miserable. And I'm not like that at all. I've never been like that. I don't process the world that way. I don't want to insert tab A and slot A. That kind of life would absolutely, I'd hate it. And so they had no idea what to do with it. And I do not think that age or position gets you respect inherently. And I haven't since I was a little kid. And so I would question them when they, when I would see things on TV and they would be talking about it, like on the news. And the one that always comes to mind because it was so stark is Malcolm X was on TV. And I was a kid. I didn't understand exactly what was being said. And my parents are over here saying, ugly things, violent, dirty, all of these things. And I'm looking at the TV and I'm going, that's a lie. Right? That's a lie. And if I asked them, I'd get in trouble. So I learned real quick, adults lie. From a very young age, I learned that adults lie about everything. But they did a really good job, and they did as good as they knew for adoption at the time. But when I got to be about 12, 13 years old, the wheels flew off of everything because they didn't understand. And I was in and out of psychiatric hospitals because that was the thing to do in the 80s is, commit your kid for a little 2-week break. So, mom could get a little break. And, constantly being told nothing's wrong with you. You're just spoiled. And the whole 9 yards,
Yes. That whole, you're just spoiled. Oh, a quick thing at this point. Miss Arena is watching. I done made it, y'all. I done made it. Y'all can't tell me nothing. I got Pam on here with me, and Miss Arena is watching. Prepare.
That's my best friend.
Prepare to be sick of me. Y'all ain't gonna tell me nothing for the rest of your life, okay? Okay, I'm gonna be uppity as the rest of the month. And Miss Arena, anytime you want to come on, I'm as available.
Now that would be a show I would not miss. Y'all would be just a horrible thing.
I'm as available. I mean, if you want a monthly slot, Miss Arena, I'm here. Which is your world. What you
want? But anyway, back to the thing. And to this day, me and my mom are on wholly opposite ends of the political spectrum. I don't like her a lot. There are a lot of things about her I don't like. She is my mother. She adores me. And talking to her, she's just like, she orders me clothes off of QVC stuff I'll never wear. It's so bad. It's so bad. Matter of fact, I'm probably going to dig some out for Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's that bad.
Yeah, I got some of that from my daddy too. So that's going to be my Candace Owens wardrobe. It is. It's so bad. It's in the downstairs closet. And I know we from the same generation. You know what the downstairs closet is.
Yeah. Yeah.
They come to visit. You just put something on and you tuck the tag just in case. There's a time.
But you have to put something on that they gave you. Otherwise, you're going to be insulted, right?
Yeah. like there was one year, my baby brother, I love him, but I know he don't watch it. And to my baby sister-in-law, I know you watch it, but don't tell him. He bought me this patch. It was really a patchwork dress, and it came from Macy's. He forgot to take the tag off, and it was like $200. And I was like, why did you pay $200? It was the best shit ever. And then he invited me to his church, which is really a cult. And I wore it because I wanted to repel all of the single men that was at that church. No, this church is really a cult. Like the pastor.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about it.
Yeah, the pastor of this church is legitimately John Legend's uncle. People forget that John Legend is from Springfield, Ohio.
That's right.
And it's his uncle that is the pastor. Now, unfortunately, the same day that I wore this ugly ass dress, John and Christy visited the church, and I ended up sitting next to her. And I'm so clueless, I didn't know it was her sitting next to me.
I got a story like that.
In this dress. And she's like, that's an interesting dress. And I was like, yeah, my brother bought it for me. And I turned around and I was like, shit, I look like this. And you, okay. I was like, I got brownies in my purse. It's a weed brownie. Don't tell the Lord.
It's in your cravings cookbook, right?
I was like, if I got to sit through this meeting, I'm gonna have some sustenance.
You remember how our moms always had snacks in their purse, though?
and the purse candy.
Yeah. And if your mom smoked, it had tobacco.
Store. Like, where were they buying candy from? You can find it at like, were they making it in the backyard in a cauldron? Like the little strawberry candy. Every store I could find.
Yeah.
To the store owners, this candy does not exist. But
No,
I got 11 doctor's appointments and 2,000 church services off of strawberry candy, because I don't know what it is about people who go to church and Sunday. Y'all condition us to have 3 fucking meals a day.
And then on Sunday, no.
Yeah, and you give us a skimpy ass bowl of cereal, and then you have us in church for 57 services in 2,000 hours, and you mad because my stomach is replying back to the pastor. The pastor's like, "Can I go on?" And my stomach is like, "No, fuck you, shut up."
On a search and a strawberry candy.
And there's some old bitch that's already roommates with Jesus, but she signed the lease talking about keep going past the no. You keep going into the light, bitch. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's so true.
Always the ones that are like, when are you getting married? When are you having your funeral? I got the dress for your funeral, bitch. I'm not paying $2,000 for a fucking wedding dress, and I don't even like him right now. He just got coupons for the best restaurant. Shut the fuck up.
Shoney's ain't it.
He got a chance.
It's a little different in white churches, but it's not that different at all.
Forever. My mama took me to a Catholic wedding, and that bitch lied to me. I should have known when my daddy didn't want to go and my granny didn't want to go. And my mom was like,
Was it a high mass wedding where they do the vows 3 times?
she was like, "You want some food?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I thought we was going straight to a restaurant. She's like, "You got to dress up." So I was like, "Oh, we going to a fancy restaurant." This raggedy bitch took me to a 16-hour fucking wedding. And we were the only 2 black motherfuckers in there. Everybody was looking at us, and I'm like, "We're not gonna steal the priest. I'm afraid y'all gonna put us on a white people boat. Can y'all stop?" Like, are you trying to figure out what my price is? Look away. And then we get reception, and this when I realized white people is crazy. White people's. I was 14, not 14 and a half, not even 14 and a quarter. 14 talking about what you want to drink. I was like, do you have some iced tea? They was like, "Oh, you want a Long Island?" I don't think I should be on an island. But all the teenagers were shit-faced.
Yep.
And I'm like this, and my mama looking at me like, "You better not." And I'm like, "You shouldn't have brought me here home."
You want to know the saddest wedding to go to? Go to a Mormon wedding. Because they don't get married. They go to the ward, right? They have wards, not churches. And it's like a fellowship potluck after church. But the bride then puts on her dress. It's the first time she's put on her dress to walk into the gymnasium at the local church. And because they get married in robes at the temple, where people that don't, aren't holy enough to get a temple recommend can't go.
Well, I mean, I can't go to a Mormon weddings because, I'm black. So I got to be a white person to get into the Mormon church. Oh,
my son,
y'all that didn't know that. Yeah, the Mormon church is big on pedophilia and sponsoring black people. Pam, where'd you go?
Go back. Sorry about that. My daughter called.
No, Pam wanted to be black for 3 seconds. Look at her.
But my son's dad, my first husband, he's not black. I wish I had a picture of him. He's very dark skinned, and beautiful man, straight black hair, dark brown eyes, beautiful man. And his Mormon parents adopted him and changed his birth certificate when they adopted him to Anglo. And then when he was 3, told him, hey, because the kids were making fun of him because he wasn't white, right? And you're raising him in the Mormon church where everybody's white. And so they said, well, make up what you want to be. So he decided he was Cheyenne Indian. And Then his mom told me he was Filipino, and then nobody seems to fucking know. And so my son, who until DNA was available just a couple of weeks ago, has no fucking, I mean, a couple of years ago, had no fucking clue what he was. I didn't know how to. I didn't know what to. I didn't know where to. Where do I go? What do I do? How do I get this child to where he can experience his culture, anything of his heritage? And and his grandmother, my ex-husband's mom, purposely muddied the waters and wouldn't tell anybody anything.
Yeah, that's how. Wait a minute, hold on. First of all, y'all know I'm the Elizabeth Taylor of the Midwest, so don't come for me. So it was okay. Husband number 3.
Okay.
Thought that he was Italian.
Okay.
Then found out he was Lithuanian. Now my goofy ass was in the background laughing because it was after his scandalous grandma passed away.
Okay.
And only Black Polka Dot had to handle all of it. And they were like, well, no, his mother's the product of her first marriage. No. She moved from a holler down in Kentucky up to Cincinnati, pregnant and single. Then she got married. Then they tried to say that the first husband committed suicide. No, he had an accident in the storm. I saw the paperwork that she had hidden. Plus, she had a weird obsession with Elvis. So there's that. And then the second husband, he was just nasty. And nobody in the family knew that the second husband was a damn highly decorated Navy SEAL. That there's like several articles, several blogs, several everything written about this man, and they tried to downplay it. And I was like, I understand, because one sister stole a husband from another sister. Relationship with each other. Another sister is married to a gay man, and they just pretending to like each other. You got a brother who travels, but he ain't had a job in 20 years, but he's on business trips. Oh, okay.
So we're gonna pretend the Navy SEAL doesn't exist.
I was like, I'm gonna act like I don't know none of that. And the funny thing about it is, this is the same husband that keeps making profile after profile with different email addresses on Instagram to see what I'm doing. And then he goes, I'm not watching you. Yes, you are. Because anytime I make any type of physical changes, you create memes on this page and you do weird combinations of my legal name that most people don't know and your name. And then you'll randomly click a picture. I don't want you. Okay. I just want that.
Isn't that like writing your boyfriend's last name when you were in junior high? That's weird. That's weird. That's weird.
I never got that. And now there's a good friend of mine who y'all support SAG and WAG, the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild. Now I have a friend that decided right before we all turned 40, he wanted to really pursue acting. He was in IT like me, and we went to junior high together, and then we separated for high school. His first name is my adoptive maiden name.
Okay.
My middle initial is an L. Remember in high school, you would like write a name, L, like for love, and then a name. Well, I used to just do that with my name and like make different designs. And he was like, you love me? I do not love you. This is not about you at all. Like,
and all the kids would make those little paper things.
Yeah, and I'm 5'4".
I never could make those.
See, I'm 5'4.5". Y'all better respect my half. And I was like, look, Lollipop Guild, if I can see the top of your head, we can't date. And it's funny because the current husband, I can see the top of his head. So I owe a whole lot of people some apologies. My current husband looks like the penguin. He looked, y'all, Danny DeVito as the penguin. That's how you know it's love. That's probably why people look at us and think that he's my sugar daddy.
Yep. I mean,
he's not. I'm the one with the sugar.
Mr. Pam's been 300 pounds most of our marriage. Most of it.
See, I like them thick. I like a good moto. For those of y'all that ain't seen Madagascar, go look up Madagascar. Moto. I like a good moto.
And this is what gets me about the conversations around preferences, right? When people say, prefer, a white girl or whatever. I prefer, before I met my husband, androgynous men. My dream human being to be with would have been David Bowie, right? I love tall, thin, androgynous people. Doesn't matter the sex.
See, my
husband is same height as me and fat. But you know what? 35 years later, we're still here.
Yeah, see, my dream person was Annie Lennox, but I needed Annie Lennox.
Oh, yeah, that was another one.
I needed her to like eat a hippo, and she would have been perfect. Because, okay, I look, there was a period of time that I was trying hard to fit into societal standards. And I got a tall, drink of water. He was dumb as dog shit. This motherfucker really said to me and my cousin that spider webs were created by dead skin cells.
Oh, wow.
And then he got offended because y'all know I'm petty. And as my one nephew says, I'm intellectually arrogant. And I was like, how does it feel to be with somebody so much smarter than you? That was like the end of the marriage right there. But I was smitten. He was, y'all seen The Corpse Bride? That's what it felt like I was sleeping up against.
Okay, that's good.
He was like, why don't we bump uglies? Because I think we're going to start a fire, bitch. I ain't big, you ain't big. What we rubbing bones together, which is like sticks together. We're going to start a campfire. How about no? Okay, we can just hold hands. I've read enough about spontaneous combustion. That doesn't seem fun.
Yeah, no, I don't think I want that one. But yeah, we've been together 35 years now, which is wild. Of course, we took a 12-year hiatus. So
yeah, I don't like people touching my stuff. So now Frenchie, the current Taz Sugar Baby, we're going on 5 years. I think that is the longest. I don't mind him touching some of my stuff. He's learned. I've had to condition him with a shock collar. It's okay. I'm joking, y'all. I'm joking.
It's a joke.
Because y'all be liking to take clips and be like, look, this shit's evil. I'm not evil. I got jokes. But there is one clip. I do want to hear what you have to say about this because
okay.
I make no promises that I'm not gonna laugh.
Feel free.
But here's a video, and it was sent, and the person who sent it to me captioned it specifically for when Pam comes on.
Oh no! I want to know because I know Danny, Contemporary Gadfly, has hit up my youngest daughter for questions for Truth or Dare during the fundraiser. So we're gonna see what this is.
Oh, Danny has me coming up with a list. So y'all
she's hit up my daughter. My daughter's like, I sent her a bunch of stuff.
But y'all know my mind is a wonderland, and I told her I was going to take 48 hours to come up with this. So my list will be completed tomorrow, and it is what it is. Okay, I put out a whole video saying, "Don't ask me shit. I'm fucked in the brain." Okay.
All right, let's see this clip.
So let's see this. And it was titled, "All I Got Was GOP Voting Mindset." So here we go.
Hey, Bill. I'm here in Mississippi, the poorest state in America, which is also the most conservative state in our union.
So why is Mississippi so conservative?
Well, you're in the heart of the Bible Belt. We believe in family. We believe in Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve.
Whoever gets elected needs to be family orientated.
God should come into his mind in everything that he does.
You never liked the president, did you?
Never, and never will.
Why not?
One thing, his name's Obama.
This is America. Our president should be American, not Muslim.
I don't even like it. When I see him on TV, I turn it off. I don't like it.
Is it because he's black?
No, it's not because you're black, because he's a half-breed. He's black too, but he's a half-breed.
I guess I'm a little prejudiced.
Are you? You don't like black people?
Not much.
Why not?
Just don't.
What is this? Where are we?
We're in the state of Mississippi. I don't care for the government. They don't show me anything.
You get food stamps.
Yeah, but I think I deserve food stamps. I have no employment.
I hate Obamacare.
I think it's retarded and pointless.
But a lot of people in Mississippi need health care.
Yeah. Back when I was growing up and when my parents were growing up and my grandparents were growing up, we didn't have all that and people still made it. And back then people pulled their own weight. They didn't sit around waiting for everyone else to take care of them.
So you don't care about the economy?
No, just take care of yourself. You put God back in the saddle, it'll all be okay.
So something's not working here.
That's
Voting
right.
Republican hasn't worked for you.
But it could.
But it hasn't.
It hasn't, but it could.
Why is the poorest state the most conservative state?
We would rather go broke and die hungry than to give up our moral beliefs.
I feel like that voting God and voting faith is more important to me than voting for free money or voting for a handout.
I'm going to stand up for what I believe in, even if I go broke doing it.
We're not going to be pushed over. We lost the war. That's true. But we're not going to be pushed around. We're not going to back down from what we believe. And like the tag on the front of my truck says, the South will rise again.
Ew. Okay, it's funny, right, to sit around and joke about this shit. And I get a little frustrated. Walt Matheson, he does an amazing job of going into the Trump rallies and interviewing people and going incognito and everything. And I think bringing a snapshot of these people when they're comfortable out is important. I don't find it funny. I find it funny in a cathartic kind of funny way. It's like Jesus, right? But they're real, and these people are real, and these people really vote, and these people really have kids, and these people really go to church, and these people really interact with their neighbors and the other people in their towns, and when you put it in perspective, it's not funny, and the level of indoctrination to this idea that suffering is a moral win is so bizarre. And every time I see that kind of stuff, I just think of Vider, and I think of Robert Byrd, and I think of, all of these situations. And that happened when my son was in junior high. And I mean, we all sat in the living room and cried because even though they didn't go into detail, the concept, right? Just the horror. And those are those people, right? Those are the people that hunt down Ahmaud Arbery. And those are the people that, beat their wives and rape their daughters and make them have their children. And it's terrifying. And what is the solution is so frustrating, because living in a state that has sunk, has gone, Texas, the one thing Texas used to have is infrastructure, good highways, good roads, right? And it is just, it's horrible now. Our education is horrible. We have the most uninsured people in any state because we won't expand Medicaid. And the solution to this is education. We can't even get it because we can't get a hold of our state legislature. Right? It's so gerrymandered that even Texas is pretty evenly split, about 45 to 50, somewhere in there. But there are computer models, and I say this all the time, that show that if every eligible voter in Texas voted, every single one, they would still hold on to the legislature because it's that gerrymandered. Mm-hmm. They would have a stranglehold. We might win the governor and the attorney general, but they would be at odds with the legislature all the time because they cheat and they manipulate. And the answer is education. And the only way we're going to get that is federal guidance. The answer is voting rights. The only way we're going to get that in states like Mississippi and Texas and Alabama and Georgia. Georgia sits on the bubble a little more, but even California is a breeze away, right? And the federal government won't do anything, and everybody's like going, well, vote blue no matter who, and it's like, that's how we got Manchin and Sinema, right? That's how we keep getting these elected officials that run as Democrats and then flip parties, which is now a new strategy. And it terrifies me because here's what's interesting about those kinds of people is if they have a black neighbor, that black person's going to be okay because they know them, right? Familiarity is really important. But it's only going to be to a point, and they better not bring their family over to their house, right? And the rules are ever changing, and to expect or request or demand that Black, Indigenous, and other people of color learn how to navigate that ever-changing minefield, there's no way. It's never safe. It will never be safe. Sundown towns will never be safe until we have a significant shift. And everybody wants to change it by voting. This is a societal issue. This is not an issue of party. This is not an issue of ideology. It's not even an issue of religion unless you're letting your religion be manipulated by politics, which so many have. And until we start absolutely calling it out everywhere we see it, and white people need to be, prepared for some awkward situations, right? And some repercussions sometimes. So what? So fucking what? I lost my job on calling my boss out for using a racial slur for a female Indigenous person during a meeting. And I waited till the meeting was over, told her it was a slur, and she said thank you, and a week later I was fired. And it was very obvious, right? So fucking what? It's a damn job. I can get another one, right? But unless we start calling out our family, and I don't mean call out as embarrassed and grab your phone and embarrass Uncle Joe, make a TikTok or an Instagram Reels and get a bunch of applause for how you embarrassed your uncle. That's your uncle. Why don't you have a conversation? Why don't you have an ongoing conversation? I'm not talking about having him move in with you. You don't have to talk to him every week. But why don't you do something? And I'll forever come back to Ralph Yarls and so many before where the man who shot him, his grandson, said, well, we knew. Then why? Right? Why aren't you talking to him? Why aren't you doing something? Well, I don't know what to do.
They know what to do. They just don't want to use an inheritance. But Miss Arena has a really good point. Serious question. Why are Black people never surprised or shocked, but Black people are? I don't understand that. Let me get my thoughts.
White people aren't shocked. White people are embarrassed. They're not shocked.
I don't even think it's a part of embarrassment. I think white people have been so indoctrinated, and y'all know my favorite phrase, to being the standard and the default damsel in distress, and so accustomed to avoiding accountability and always being told that what they say and do is correct and everybody else should aspire to be that. They pretend that there's no reason to be shocked when you know what's happening, when you know what's going to be said, because it's being said around you constantly. There's no shock value. Like if I get together with my family, I know two things are going to be for certain. I got a sulking ass sister-in-law that's going to look like she's near tears and walk around because don't nobody want to talk to her. We just love my brother. And two, it's going to be more food than we can consume because everybody is going to cook because don't nobody trust anybody else cooking. Not because, well, there are a couple of people who can't cook. Y'all need to stop thinking every Black person can cook because that is not true. I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked when certain stuff happens around me. It's the same with white people.
Yes.
Well, white people are not shocked right now by white women predominantly and gay white men predominantly taking jabs at Carly Russell, the one person who has said nothing about the whole situation.
Absolutely. And when I say embarrassment, let's alter that just a little bit. They don't want you to see the ugly cousin that they keep locked in the room in the back, right? Not embarrassment. It's just we we're better than that, right? But everybody knows it's there. Nobody's embarrassed. It's just like, quit begging at the table kind of thing, right? Go away. Because the people that can present the proper image are here. And we can't grasp that our relatives are shit. Have been shit, were shit, generation after generation. And come to grips with that. Come to grips with that. Deal with that. My parents were racist. My mom still is. My mom and dad fought multifamily housing in our neighborhood because what would it do to me and my brother's education? Nothing. Shut up. They went down to Austin City Hall and fought against it. They're racist. Get over it. They're misogynistic, both of them. My dad died when I was 22. But misogynistic, racist, ableist, judgmental, elitist, all those things. They're still my parents, and I have love for them. I don't like them, but that's okay. We can still have a good conversation and do what we need to do. Now, my brother can fucking fall off the face of the fucking earth. He can just, for all I care. Because he's horrible to everybody. He's horrible to my mom, who's 86 years old, and she doesn't deserve that. She's done everything for him, right? But whatever. That's their deal to deal with. My granddaddy, the only person that I thought understood me being adopted, right? Once I got older and I thought, my granddaddy, I adored him. And all my life we had heard this story. He was, a sharecropper, moved from Oklahoma to Texas as a sharecropper, got made fun of, worked his way through college, took him 11 years to get his degree. That part is true. He would go work on the railroad, save some money, go back and go to school. Ended up becoming a teacher, then a principal, and then superintendent of schools. And he got elected every year, in a landslide election. Everybody loved him until the year he decided he wanted to educate migrant farm workers' children with the same level of education as the white children. And then he was voted out and run out of town on a rail. That's the family story. As you get older and you start putting together timelines and when that would have been and what years that would have been, it doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. And so every once in a while I would go put his name into Google and nothing would come up. And then one year, about 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, my daughter put his name in and she said, "Mom, I found something." And it was from LULAC. And it was somebody doing their thesis, talking about what he did. No, he fought integration, fought it at every turn. Through every Supreme Court decision, he fought it and wanted to keep the Hispanic and the Spanish-speaking children at the shithole school with the shithole equipment, with the shithole teachers, and until some decision came down, and it wasn't even a big Supreme Court decision, but some decision came down, and he knew he couldn't legally get away with it anymore, and he flipped it and tried to say he was championing the migrant farm workers' children, and he got run out of town on a rail because he tried to play it as a political point and a pawn, and it wasn't, and all of a sudden, it all made sense, right? It's like, okay, that makes much more sense than the hog shit that I've been told, because one of his best friends was LBJ. My grandfather was a racist too. We knew that, right? It's like, so accept that. Nobody's saying you have to erase your memories, your interpersonal memories with this person, but it gets put into context and reality, and they become whole and complete and fucked up human beings. Oh well. So now you know what you come from, what you need to watch out for in yourself, because it's systemic and integral in your family. So it is from generation to generation to generation to generation. And if you want to break those molds, you know the things you need to look at, right? You know the things you need to watch for in your own. And it gives, nobody is perfect. Nobody expects you to go back. I can't go back and fix what my grandfather did. I can't. I can't go back on my dad's family when they colonized the Rio Grande Valley and just absolutely ate up the land to own orchards and everything else. I can't go fix that. They don't have anything to do with me. I can't fix it. But what I can do is look around and go, okay, well, I got to make sure this doesn't show up in my family and be very aware of this. And what can I do to try to make things as good as I can and better going forward? I can't erase what they did. I'm not responsible for what they did. But it is reality to accept them for who they are. So if white people want to look back at their family tree to look for heroes, you're never going to find them. But what you will find is truth. And that's far more important than heroes.
And I think a lot of white people need to realize nobody is holding you accountable for what your ancestors did. We hold you accountable for what you uphold.
Right.
For what your ancestors did, and trying to revise things and go, well, my family never did that. Yes, as soon as you say my family never did, you absolutely know, because we know that there's still slave records that are being kept in hope chests, in attics that are being passed down from generation to generation. You know exactly what your family has done, because when you sit at the table, when you meet with them, you know. That's why every time the winter holidays come, because it's always during the winter holidays. Y'all ever notice it's not during spring holidays, it's not during summer holidays, it's always during the winter holidays that you get a slew of white people going, well, you know, this year's the year I'm gonna check Auntie Gertrude and Nana and Papa. Didn't you say that last year? But you're still making bread with them, and you're gonna spend the whole year with them. But over Thanksgiving and Christmas, you're gonna put them in their place to turn around and be back there New Year's Eve, Easter, and everything else. You still fireworks with them for the damn 4th of July.
Yeah. It's like, I won't inherit shit. Okay? I won't. That has been decided. And if I did, I can promise you there would be a couple of things. A, if it was land, it would be given back. And B, if it was money, it would be donated. I'm just not about the inheritance model, considering I know my family's history. I know where that money came from. I know what it was built on. So, but despite that, even though I will never inherit a dime, and I raised my children incredibly poor, I still benefited because I had a I had a privileged education that taught me things, so I could score a perfect score on the ACT and that ridiculously high score on the SAT, so that I could get into university with, even though I graduated at the third quarter of my class, because I didn't give a shit about school, and I got to take somebody's spot that gave a shit about school. How would that spot have better served somebody that didn't flunk out the first semester? Right? Because they didn't give a shit. So I still benefited, and my children, who have never seen a dime of my family money, still benefited.
And I'm glad you brought up these standardized tests, because standardized tests in education are what credit scores are to the rest of the world, because both of us on this broadcast right now are older than credit scores. Let me repeat that to people watching. The both of us are older than credit scores, and they establish credit scores in order to continue the blockbustering, the redlining, and the gerrymandering.
Yep.
Because think about it. A credit score is supposed to determine you paying your bills. But say twice a year, my paycheck comes a day after the bill is due.
Yep.
I still pay it. Why am I getting a hit on that? And then riddle me this, Batman. How can you start off dirt poor, then become a celebrity, and credit no longer matters? Because rich people never say anything about their credit score. They just get stuff.
If she had quit calling. If Serena's still on here, text Megan and tell her I'm doing a podcast.
Tell Megan to come on over here.
But yeah, and here's the thing. You want to know what's weird is now credit only goes so high unless you have a mortgage. A mortgage is necessary to get up to fully A paper and stay there stably. You have to have a mortgage, which is the one thing that is denied. Who?
Yep. And the funny thing about it is, in the past 2 years, Do y'all realize that until 2 years ago, your rent payments did not go towards or against your credit?
Nope.
They were scaring people, going, "Oh, if you got no, they're
I'm
just now.
I'm texting her back. Give me a
Yeah, they're just now counting your rent payments towards your credit score. And who is more likely to rent? Not because there isn't the collateral, there isn't the cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
Black, brown, indigenous people of color. Because when you sit down for a mortgage, that's the one time they want to get detailed and all up in your business.
Oh, yes, they
want to
do.
get all up in your business. And don't make a purchase before you close. Don't even make a purchase within 90 days of closing, okay? Because then all of a sudden they're, can they really afford it? Bitch, I wouldn't be able to make this payment if I couldn't afford it. Like, the rules behind real estate and credit scores is so asinine. This is why I have a problem taking economics in school, because, and you know this, an ADHD brain and autistic, things have to line up logically for you. Nothing about economics is logical.
No, and this was the question I asked, and I kept getting shot down, and I still ask it to this day. We can write loans on cars for people with bad credit, right? We do it all the time, right? That is for purchase of an asset that depreciates from day one. But you can't do it for a house, an asset that appreciates from day one. Bullshit. That's horseshit.
Yeah,
you just like the fact that if there is.
Don't let me get some extra coins, because I'm going to start the first buy here, pay here mortgage company.
Yeah.
Because if they can do it for cars, electronics, and even now purses at Rent-A-Center. I saw like an ad for Rent-A-Center.
Yes.
Let me get some extra coins. Y'all will be in houses left and right. You understand me? It will be payday loan mortgages.
I do know that we had a neighbor at one point that would rent to own houses, right? But I know in Texas, I don't know elsewhere, the laws changed because it would end up with the same issue, like you miss a payment and then they take your house and all those years you paid. And they said, I know it's not easy to do. I've looked into, because I have no retirement. I don't have a dime in retirement savings, right? And I looked at the landlord model. This is 10 years ago. As a way to have passive income so that I could fucking retire, right? Maybe buy like a little 8-unit apartment building, make me a little nice apartment, whatever. And I looked into it and I tried to find ethical ways to do it. I really did. I fought and I looked at one building and I was like, okay, well, rent half of it for costs with just a little bit of money to keep in a fund for repairs, and the other half we'll use to house homeless people. Well, you can't do that because then it's a shelter and it's against all the zoning and nobody wants a shelter in their neighborhood. So you can't do that. And, renting for cost, you're still holding the asset. And especially currently when there is so few homes for sale on the market, you're still taking inventory out of the market, which is falsely elevating the cost of homes. And it's the start of gentrification, as you know. Less inventory, prices go up, people spend more money. Where my daughter lives in Dallas.
If you label it as transitional housing, if you label it as transitional housing for those in a work program,
okay,
you get federal funds, and I'm saying this because I've done this as a measure of helping people. Then you can, because I became a landlord. A lot of people don't realize this. I became a landlord as well as 2 of my brothers when my granny passed away.
Okay.
Now, one of the properties is occupied by a family member, and that was a battle with the rest of the family because I know what my granny and papa's intention was. It was to make sure people had a place to live, family or not.
Right.
Now, the other property is occupied by a woman who escaped a very harmful situation. That's all I'm going to say about that, because if I give anything else, it will be clear who she is. I'll just say that. and everything is at cost. Now, I do have a bit of a special circumstances because I have older cousins and uncles who retired but still love the work that they did. So the carpentry, the plumbing, and everything else. If something needs to be fixed or repaired, I just, usually make them some like Philly cheesesteak egg rolls or my cinnamon roll apple streusel. So
I'm going to need the Philly cheesesteak egg roll recipe. You know that.
I got you, boo. And actually, once we do our MTG Candace Owens thing, because y'all acting a fool running these numbers up, and thank you. I appreciate y'all. And y'all are really getting people to follow me that are actually interested in my content as well. Y'all are not just like, hey, just follow her for the hell of it. So
this is what I learned with the 10K challenge. Finish what you're saying.
Go back to when I do get on live sharing recipes, and like doing a step by step, because I'm ADHD. I don't really measure stuff out.
My kids had bought me those cookbooks that you're supposed to fill out, right, to give your kids. They bought me 2 of them. I've never written a freaking recipe in one of them. I'm like,
see, I can't, because you have to. Now, for those of y'all that don't know, I am from the islands. I am from the Bahamas.
I didn't know that.
Stuff out. So when somebody asks for a recipe and I go, hey, do you have FaceTime or can I video chat you? It's because I have to show you what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because
and here's the texture I'm looking for, and this is the
Yeah, I don't know what I know what it looks like to put in there.
Yeah. Yep, same here.
And especially if cheese or kimchi is involved, I have I just sprinkle until my heart starts to sing to me. Okay, just it is what it is. That's why I can stay off of Sujia's page. I got.
Oh, I love her. I love her.
When she did like the crispy cheese with
and the rice paper
and the kimchi.
Oh my God!
When I tell you, I kept doing it and replaying the video. And my youngest son was here and he was like, Mom, you can't survive off of this. You have to stop eating it.
I can put an egg in it.
And that is what I said.
Yeah. Then you have protein. It's a full meal then.
And then he just huffed and puffed and left, because he drops me off coffee every morning, because he does make the best coffee. But if y'all tell him that, I will fight all of y'all, okay? We have a competition going. And the reason why I get free coffee every day from him with a brand new mug, that's why y'all see me with all these new mugs when I make videos, is because I keep telling him I make better coffee. I don't even bother to make coffee, okay? So if y'all snitch on me, because he does watch my TikTok account, I will hunt you down.
That's the word. Mr. Pam makes coffee every morning. I've got it so easy. I don't do dishes. I do my laundry. He does his. I don't do shit. That man does everything for me, which is just wild. Yeah, that's not how it always was. That's not how it always was.
I don't even get ice water for myself. Even before Frenchie goes to work, he's like, "Is your cup filled up?" I don't know. And he's like, can we fill it up? Because if you're cranky when I come back home, I feel like I'm not going to make it to the morning. You probably won't, but you.
Yeah, no. Matter of fact, that little jingle from the TikTok, "Dumb Ways to Die," I sing that to Mr. Pam all the time when he does shit, says shit, whatever. I'm like, dumb ways to die.
Well, here's the thing. I always joke and say that we're still on our first date, but one day he came downstairs because insomnia was bad. So I try not to be in my office upstairs, which y'all, I'm slowly moving back up into the office. I got to get Puppers down to the fact that he doesn't need to sit behind me, because my office chair, his chunky badunkadunk is going to fall over. I will come downstairs and like put in some like either scroll TikTok, listen to some music, write or whatever. And it was one day he came down and I was on YouTube watching 1,000 Ways to Die.
Okay, I remember that.
And he was like, "What are you watching?" And I told him, and he was like, "With you, I don't know if you're about to correct it or if you're taking notes or if you already know." And I
I
said,
used to.
I know how many elements naturally occur in the body that will not show up on an autopsy if they're increased slightly. And he said, you do know that my mother is also on the life insurance policy. And I said, and I know that your mother is also like 2,000 years old in French. Because y'all, because I'm like the sole beneficiary. And yes, I do have a stepmother. I'm very vocal about this. Yes, I am the sole beneficiary on Daddy's life insurance. And that's because I already prepaid. I already prepaid for everything. Okay. All we got to do is put him in the box and pray. And I already got the crew that's ready to slide with me because I done told y'all I'm adjacent to behaving because my daddy is still on this planet. And as far as adopted, I got to give him his props. I got to give him his props as an adoptive parent, like not as a parent overall, because I think if I was the spawn of his loins, things wouldn't have went the same way. But I'm just scared that the authorities was going to fuck some shit up because I was.
Now, see, you get what I'm saying, because if I had been my parents' biological child, I wouldn't have been able to stand in my own self as strongly as I did. Right. And I would have been one fucked up human being because it would have been totally different. And I managed to get through my entire life by I'm just me and I'm fucking allowed to be me and I don't care what you think or say. I'm allowed to. I don't think I would have had that had I been their biological child.
If I was the bio kid, plus I know how my dad's family is, and I know the excuses they would have made for me. I know the protection they would have given. I would have been a horrible person, and I say that because I look at some of my cousins and.
See, I was a spoiled brat. There was no question about that. Dad fixed everything. I didn't. Shit. When my son was born, my parents didn't know I was pregnant. I was at school. They had met my first husband once. Weren't impressed. Of course, he was brown. So that did not go over well, but whatever. Didn't give a shit. And that was another thing. Being young and stupid, not understanding the implications of that. Just because they weren't going to be violent doesn't mean there wasn't damage, right? That 21-year-old me was in love and, whatever. So I called them from the hospital to tell them they had a grandson. And I went from being at college and having credit cards and never having to look at a checking account balance and having my car and everything else within 24 hours. My dad left me the car and he said, you have 6 months to get your own car. You want to be an adult, go be an adult. And it was horrible at the time. He died 8 months later.
Yeah, see,
and you know, real quick.
When I had children, I had a car. There was a very racist new police officer to the force in the suburb that I lived in with my parents. Now, I will say my parents were not the type to like push us out at 18. I had kids, first failed marriage. They didn't give a damn. They were like, okay, I mean, just you can have the second floor, keep the second floor.
Same way I am with mine, right?
And keep
you
the
need PlayStation, you have PlayStation.
Y'all need stuff that we don't eat and we don't consume. Just stock that in the refrigerator. We won't touch your stuff, but whatever. And this cop, I was off for a couple days because I had 2 out of my 4 children that were sick, like had to go to urgent care, get antibiotics sick. And I worked within walking distance of the hospital that I worked at. And there were like 6 of us that did. So in good weather, we would all walk together because why waste gas?
Right.
She had my car towed. Now, this was a little beater car that I bought for myself. Within 2 days, that fee was more than what I paid for the car. So then I was out of a car. My granny, who had always bought brand new cars, like not off the lot, got them customized, kept calling the house looking for 2 of my brothers. And I was like, I said, Grant, I don't know where they are. And she was being real secretive. My brothers pull up because she gave them her old car for them to split as two teenagers in high school that couldn't even get a date.
Wow.
Within 2 months, they had crashed that car. My mother helped me, gave me, remember the geo trackers?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Yes.
Half off car sale there ever was.
Mm-hmm. Remember the storm that came in pink and
I had the Pepto-Bismol pink one. Pepto-Bismol pink.
Yeah.
And that, trust me, that was my clown car, because how I did the stuff in this, because I had 4 kids. How I did the stuff in this car, I will never know. But I had that car, but it hurt me for many, many years that my granny knew that I was struggling. And she had a Park Avenue, a 1992 Park Avenue. I'm talking about the big body Park Avenue.
Right.
And did not give me that. And I had money in hand, like, I need to get another car, but I lived in the suburbs once again.
Mm-hmm.
I had the money to get a car. I didn't have money to pay for a cab because there was no Uber or Lyft.
Nope.
And living in the suburbs, where I lived at the time, you had to pay. I had to pay a zone 3 zone fee, which was like an additional $2. Like the zones went up as far as
right.
Plus the bus fare. Plus I would need to get a transfer, and I'm like, I don't have the money for that.
Right.
And nobody would take me to a car lot in the suburbs at the time. I don't know about now. Well, no, because there's no car lots in the suburbs I live in now. I couldn't just walk.
Damn.
And that is how they did me. Now, fortunately for me, I had 2 outstanding grandfathers who did not care who I came from. They didn't care. I was just their weird mix of having a grandson and a granddaughter all in one, because I like to go hunting. I was militant as hell, and I was smart because my papa was when he died, he was the president of the United States Chemistry Society.
Oh, neat.
And
that's cool.
And here's the thing: when he retired, some of y'all may not know renews it, but that was his thing, and he worked for the company Draken.
I know it.
And if you all remember the BASF building explosion, he also worked for BASF. And when that explosion happened, he decided to retire and go into teaching. And his teaching assistant job was at my high school. And his classroom was separated by a door through my physics lab. That was fun. Then by the time I made it to graduate school at the University of Cincinnati, that I was already a triple legacy at, he decided to become a professor.
See, when I graduated high school, I applied to MIT. And like I said, I graduated in the 3rd quarter of my class, so it required tests to get in, not just SAT and ACT. They had acceptance tests. And I took those, and I got accepted to MIT to study astrophysics, because that's what I wanted to do, right? And my mom very quickly said, we're not paying for it. Good luck affording to live in Boston as an out-of-state student with out-of-state tuition. You can go to A&M where your dad went, or UT where I went. And, of course, I did, and promptly flunked out. Probably wouldn't have at MIT. My mom, when my oldest 2 were 4 and 6, my grandmother died and left me her 76 Malibu.
Ooh.
Nice car. Unfortunately, it was the 4-door. It wasn't the 2-door. It was the 4-door. But it had 16,000 miles on it, original miles. She would idle it to the grocery store and idle it home. And she left it to me when she died. So we went down and picked it up. And, of course, because it had only been idled, the rubber was all bad. And on driving it back up to Waco, we had, radiator hoses and had to get 4 new tires and belts and the whole, we were just dropping rubber the whole way back. Get it up there. Have it a week, and I did something that pissed my mom off, and she had my brother drive her up to Waco and come and steal the car from me, and sold it.
Yep.
So when I talk to white people, and I'm like, if the threat of withdrawal of family love and support, if you're being threatened that you're going to lose that for being who you are, you never had it. Trust me, you never freaking had it. It's a show game. Yeah, it's a manipulation game. It's the carrot at the end of the stick, right?
That's
That you
facts.
never catch.
Facts. Oh shoot, we have gone over. You know what,
Oh,
Pam?
shoot.
How about this? Do you mind coming back next Tuesday so we can continue the conversation?
I would love to.
And thank you for sticking with us. Y'all didn't even tell me we went over. They just sitting here like, just commenting away. Like, because I was like, there's a little thing on the right side of my screen that'll tell me, and I'm like, wait, we're at what? Oh, okay.
I didn't know I could see the comments. Look at that. I am so intellectually challenged. I had been on TikTok. I had built up my first account, Pazam 2000. I probably had 50,000 followers on it, right? When I found out that after you click next, you can edit the clips.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And matter of fact, I work in IT, and I didn't pay any attention to that until one of my kids was here, and they were like, because I was like, I don't like the ending. And they were like, why don't you edit it? And I was like, I don't feel like going back. And they were like, Mom, sometimes you are so smart and so dumb. And I was like, I
got the same thing. My daughter was like, how do you not know this shit?
Yes. Now, to close out the show, I always ask people kind of like, well, I went to high school in Cincinnati when Jerry Springer had his final thoughts. So that's kind of what I want to do. So your final thoughts, which can be on the show or anything you want to share with people.
The government's not going to save us, and we have to take care of each other. So get over yourself. Get over being self-important. Get over being better than, because whatever you are better than, there's somebody better than you. But the way we're going to get through all of this, late-stage capitalism and the harnessing and the strangulation of control in the federal and state governments is take care of each other. So get out, get to know your neighbors, get to know the people around you, and do something to help each other, because that's where we're going to really make it, or not. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And ultimately, my constant message to white people is whiteness will end someday. It's up to us to decide whether white people end with it.
Very, very true. And I have it in 4K that Pam says she's going to come back next week. Now, Miss Arena, if you're still in here, if you want to join us next Tuesday, no pressure.
That would be so fun.
No pressure. I mean, I just feel like when we wrap up, if people would make some videos pleading to Miss Arena to come on, it wouldn't harm nothing. Please don't whoop me, Miss Arena.
She's here. She's right there. She says, I'm here. You going to come on next week, Arena?
Because I feel like your chancla game is second to none, and I can't run because I got 2 bad legs. So woohoo! She said possibility.
Hell yeah. All right, y'all go have a great night. I'm going to go start brushing up on watching some parodies of Margie Taylor Greene. I've had a couple of people go like, oh, that's going to be so bad. And I'm like, I'm not going to spout the racist, anti-Semitic, transphobic shit she says.
Hateful, and I'm already practicing because I started practicing and I kept laughing. So I'm working on like getting past 3 or 4 words as Candace Owens and laughing. So if y'all see me keep doing this,
that's okay.
Just let it go.
I will let you go on this one. My middle daughter, who I saw today, said, Mom, why didn't she just say you cosplay Mitch McConnell?
Because I live in Kentucky, and
this is Bitch McConnell. We actually call this Bitch McConnell.
Up the street and around the corner from one of my siblings.
Yeah, I've got Louis Gammert right down the road.
Yeah, so it's not fun. But as always, thank you all for joining us here. And as always, make sure you check the links in the description of this video. And for those of you all that, yes, I've seen the videos and the comments, and I'm trying not to get this account bananaed because I really want to meet the goal for Miss Arena. So if anything is too controversial, I do have an audio podcast, which is linked down below, that I do once a week. And I do have a blog. So I'm just dumping it over there so I don't get bananaed in the next week. Now, after that, after we make the goal and we do this live, it's on and popping. We know the last one only lasted a week. As always,
I'm surprised I've held mine as long as this. All right, I love you guys.
And as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Love y'all.
Bye.
Bye.